This video is going to be on today's classwork, which is 2.1.3, problem number 2-23, dealing with slope. So if we're looking at the worksheet, and this is something that you don't need to submit, okay, but you want to understand how to do. So looking at the worksheet, okay, we're going to be talking about the change of x. That's what this symbol up here means. That little triangle is delta, it's a Greek letter, and change of y, and the steepness of lines. So you see this little person kind of walking up these steps. That's what we're going to be thinking about when we're looking at the slope of these lines. How steep is it? Are we going uphill or are we going downhill? In other words, is it increasing? Is it decreasing? So it says here, one way to think about the slope triangle is as a stair steps on a line. Picture yourself climbing or descending the stairs from left to right on each of the lines on the graph below. Of lines A, B, and C, which is the steepest, which is the least steep? Okay, so let's take a look at that. So I have color coded these. And so here I've got this teal one for line A, this pink one for line B, this orange one for line C, and then this blue one for line D. And they are asking us, out of A, B, and C, which one is the steepest? As you're coming from the left side of the graph to the right side, okay, so over here, A, as I'm walking up this, B, as I'm walking up this, C, as I'm walking up this. So looking at this, B is definitely the steepest one. So I'm going to write B. So here, the steepest one, let me start again. The steepest one is B. So steepest is B. Then they were asking us for the one that was the least steep. So out of these three here, and we're now comparing A and C, you can see that A is slightly steeper. C has a little less slope to it, okay, a little less incline. So C is going to be the least out of those three. Now, looking at the next one, it says examine line D. What direction is the slanting from? Left to right? What number should be used for the change of y to represent the direction? So as we're looking at D, okay, and we're going from left to right, you can see that we're going downhill or downward. So this is decreasing. The other three graphs from left to right, we're going upward or we're increasing, okay? So this one we are going down, okay, we're decreasing. And then you see these little triangles that they drew here. And so they're asking us, what is the change of y? So change of y, this is your change of y. Okay, that is your change of y. Change of, let me get a little thinner pen. Change of y, okay? This direction here would be our change of x, okay? Now they were asking what the change of y is. The change of y is 2, and I might think of this as a negative 2 because we're decreasing by 2 each time. Okay, so again on this one it says, what direction is it slanting from left to right? It is slanting downward. And what is the change of y? And the change of y is negative 2 because we're going down 2. Now it says label the sides of a slope triangle on each line, then determine the slope of each line. So slope, okay, let me just kind of get some space up here. Slope is change of y over change of x. So slope is change of y, your up-down distance, over change of x. You might also hear it as rise over run. Okay, you might hear it like that. But again, the rise is your change of y, your up and down, and the run is your change of x, left to right. So now let me take a look at all of these different slopes. So this one here, again, this is my change of y, this is my change of x. Let me just write those numbers here. Okay, so this change of y, we said was -2, so that was equal to a -2. This change of x is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so that is equal to 5. So for line D, my slope is going to be change of y, -2, over change of x, 5. Okay, so let me just write here. So D, the slope is going to be change of y, -2, change of x, 5. Okay. So now let's look at another one of these, okay? So let's see, let's look at A here. So here we've got these little triangles. So we've got this direction, this direction. This is your change of x, okay? Change of x, and it is equal to 1. And this, let me make it a little bigger so we can kind of see a little better. This is your change of y, and that change of y is 1. So we're going to have 1 over 1. That's going to be the slope of A. Okay, so A, the slope is 1 over 1, or just 1 if I'm reducing it. Now let's look at B. So if I'm looking at line B, okay, that's this one here. So I'm going to be looking at, this is my change of x, and that is 1. This is my change of y, and my change of y is 3. So I'm going to do change of y, which is 3, over change of x, which is 1. Okay, so my slope for B, change of y over change of x, so 3 over 1, or 3. Now our last one, this orange one, okay, when I'm looking at this one, and I can use any of these triangles, this is my change of x, and that is going to be 2. And this is my change of y, and that is going to be 1. So again, change of y, 1, over change of x, 2. Okay, so C, change of y, which was 1, over change of x, which is 2. And those are your slopes. Now, something you want to kind of look at, it says on D, it says, how does the slope relate to the steepness of the graph? So remember, we said the steepest one was B and the least steep was C. Okay, and we were talking about these three here. So what you'll notice is this one, which was the steepest, actually has the biggest slope, 3. This one, which was the least, has the smallest slope. So the bigger the number for your slope, the steeper it is. The smaller the number for your slope, the less steep it is. So here it says, how does the slope relate to the steepness of the graph? So the bigger the slope number, the steeper the graph. And obviously the smaller the slope number, the less steep. Now, something else that you want to kind of look at is 3 of these were increasing and 1 of these was decreasing. So these 3 that were positive, those were all increasing slopes. Those were all positive or going uphill type lines. This one here that had a negative slope, that was my downhill or my decreasing line. So not only is the bigger the number, the steeper the graph, but also negative leads to downhill and positive leads to uphill. Okay, so again, the bigger the number for your slope, the steeper it is. The smaller the number, the less steep. If it is a negative number, that's going to be a downhill slope. And if it is a positive slope, it's going to be an uphill slope. Now, on this last one here, it says Cora answered part D with the statement, the steeper the line, the greater the slope. Do you agree? If so, use lines A through D to support her argument, okay? So when we are saying that, you want to really pay attention to the number without the sign. So if it was a positive 3 or if it was a negative 3, those would both be steep. One would be steep going up and one would be steep going down. The sign is just changing it from going uphill or going downhill. The number, if you just think about the absolute value, that's going to decide if it's going to be steep uphill if it's positive, or steep downhill if it's negative, okay? So now I'm gonna look over at the homework. So let me just get that going. So what you're looking at right now is actually the first question on our homework quiz. It is question 24. And on this 24C, you are asked to find the slope for each of these, okay? And so let me just kind of color code these. Okay, so here is A. Okay, that's my yellow one. Here is B, my green one. Here is C, we'll make it orange. And then here is D, we'll make it blue. And you actually have E, might be hard to see, but E is there. Let's say I make it this pink. This is E right here, this line. And so we're going to try to find the slope of each of these. Now, here they're being nice to us, except for not as nice as the last problem. The last problem, they drew out the slope triangles, and this one, they aren't drawing it out. But they're giving us little points that we can easily identify and try to draw our own slope triangle. So when we're doing this, let me just get a pen. So when we're doing this, I want to go between points. So for example, I want to go maybe from this point to this point. I always go from left to right. So I can do any of these points, any of these points. Here, let's say I'm doing these ones down here at the bottom. So let's say I'm going, and let me just get kind of a color that you could see maybe a slightly more. Okay, let's see how this one is. So I'm going to come from here, and I want to figure out how am I moving from this point to this point. And I'm going from my left to my right. So I'm going up and over. And this is my change of y, and my change of y is 2. And this is my change of x, and my change of x is 1. So for A, okay, I'm going to write it in this purple color, okay? For A, this one right here, my slope is going to be change of y, which is 2, over change of x, which is 1. And 2 over 1 is just 2. That's how you want to think about these problems when you're doing the slope. Let me take a look at letter D, okay, as another example. So if we're looking at letter D, and maybe I'm going from this point here to this point here. Again, left to right. How am I going from one to the other? I'm going down one and over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I went down one, so I'm going to call that -1, and then I went to the right 5. And so for line D, I'll put it here. So line D, this was change of y, which is -5, over change of x5. And that's what you want to think about when you're doing these problems, okay? Again, you want to look at the distance from one point to the other point, going from left to right, and you want to think about how you're moving up or down and how you're moving left or right, okay? So hopefully this is helpful for you guys with the rest of the assignment.